Through my young years, there was an acronym, and it may still be around, but it spelled out KISS, KISS, and it stood for Keep It Simple, Stupid. And I fear this is not only what we want to do with the experience of salvation, but anymore we want to do that with life. Life is getting too complicated, too intricate, too involved, and we just want to go and dance around the maypole, so to speak. We just want dessert, and we don't want to have to digest the meat and the vegetables of life. And I think that we're failing ourselves and our fellow man greatly when we do not try to understand the majesty of life, the majesty of salvation, the majesty of the universe, the majesty of the Creator, and even the majesty of death. I was thinking the other day, and it was kind of a frivolous thought, I thought at first. I thought, where did that come from? But the thought was, we read about God being disappointed in our failures. We read even in the Old Testament about God judging the failures of men. We read in the New Testament about God eventually judging the failures of men. But how many times have you read about Satan being disappointed in the failures of men? And you say, well, he's the source of these failures. That's not what I mean. I mean, if a man steals and he could have gotten more, you're not going to hear Satan speak of him as a failure. If we do wrong, we are serving him to the utmost. If we don't check our attitudes, we are pleasing him no end. The only thing that I can say about that observation is there is plenty of room for failure in righteousness. Righteousness has to be gotten right. But in sin and the eventual downfall of the soul, there is no halfway. There is no just getting started. You're there. And you are going to do superbly no matter how much you do. Nobody eventually is going to be able to say, I was a good man. I stayed at home. I didn't bother anybody. But what was going on inside of this man? What was the battles that he had suffered through? The envy and the pride and the hate and the jealousy. Every time that he watched television, Was he there? Did he desire subconsciously to be in the action? You see, there is no sideline for sin. I believe there's a sideline for righteousness. And that are those that will not enter in themselves, but they try to keep somebody else from entering in. But when you see the door to sin, failure, and destruction, you do not see any guards at the door. You do not see somebody saying you have to be, there's a dress code. You do not have anybody tell you there's an obedience code. You do not have anybody tell you that there's a personality code. Nothing. Failure is out there. Judgment for sin opens its mouth wide so that everybody can come in without restriction. And when we desire to be righteous, not for our sakes, because I would challenge any man to give me the same definition of righteousness. Everybody has a different meaning. Everybody has a different interpretation. But to search it out for righteousness' sake, to say, I want to be able to say that I was beside it. I shook its hand. I sat down and talked with it. I fellowshiped with it, and I decided to stay. That's the kind of seeking for righteousness that I mean. Think about it. And if anybody wants to write me, my email is aprof617@gmail.com. That's APROHP. I'm sorry. APROPH 617@gmail.com. God bless you. Remember that you are human. Remember that you can fail. But be able to recognize the failure and to be able to work at correcting it. In Jesus' name, Maranatha.